Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Quay, and I am coming to you with another Bible Talk Wednesdays video. Now, we had started going through Esther chapter 1. Now we're on Esther chapter 2. In chapter 1, we learned that there was the king who wanted to show off his queen Vashti, but she said no, she disobeyed him. So that caused all this commotion. She was banished. And now we're in chapter 2. Now, in chapter 2, it started off saying how the king thought about what happened. He thought about the queen and he thought about everything that happened. And I can just imagine this is being his queen Vashti. He loved her, but he was upset. So now that he's not upset anymore, he's like, oh man, the queen is gone. And so it says the people that was helping him, the people that was tending to him, they came up with a plan like, why won't you find a new queen? But this time, how about you host something where I think her name is um one of his female units, they oversee, I don't know how to pronounce her name, y'all, that she oversee this whole thing, and whoever he likes after they go through the women go through the process, that will be the next king who's supposed to be better than Vashti. So the king goes with this plan and he put people in place. Now this is where there's way made for Esther to enter into the story. Now, I mentioned last time how God is a God who likes to set up scenes. So, Queen Vashti downfall allowed Esther to walk into the picture. Now, Esther wasn't her name. She had a Jewish name, and she was taken in by her cousin Mordecai, who now raised her as his own, and she didn't have her two parents. Her two parents died. And so now she's raised by Mordecai, who tells her to hide her identity while she's going through this process. What did Esther do? She was obedient. And so Esther goes to be with the other young lady. They had to undergo these treatments, and they had to do it for 12 months. And they had to do it's different type of treatments, but they had to go 12 months. They separated into two parts. So 6 months they had to go under one treatment, and then the other 12 they go under another. And once they go under all their treatments, they get to go to the king, take anything that they wanted to the king, and see if the king wants them as queen. So we have Esther, and we learn a little bit about her. One, we know that it's hard because she didn't have her parents. She didn't have a mother to teach her or talk to her about the process. She didn't, the little things that your mom can talk to you about. She didn't have that. She also had to hide her identity, and we know how hard that is when we feel like we have to hide who we are. But one thing about it, while Esther was going through this process, she earned favor. She earned favor from the king, from the head lady who was giving these treatments, and she started to get more treatments than the other ladies. And in the Bible, it talks about, I think it was her 10th month, she had a chance to go to the king. So sometimes being obedient cut down the waiting time, where people expect for us to fulfill something in one period. God can move that on up. So she went to see the king, and she was able to take anything from her room, or from wherever they were taking things from. I think it was like something like a ladies' court or whatever. They was able to take anything to the king. But the she only thing she took was the one thing that she was told to take, and that won her over to the king. So now we have Queen Esther. Okay. So she did all her treatments, and we have Queen Esther. Now, as she won favor with Esther, now another thing, Esther didn't have to share the rooms the same. She had her own quarter. She had the best of the best because she was favored by the king. Okay. And so Now we have, now that Esther was chosen, we have Mordecai who's standing by the gate. Okay. And he's out and he heard a plan to destroy. He had a evil plan by the guards, the people outside. So that earned extra favor because now Esther was able to tell the king the plan that they heard. But what I wanted to talk about in this story is how, oh, the one thing the king really was looking for was obedient. And sometimes being obedient could be hard because of the situation you're in. Or sometimes you might feel like you know better. And we talked about being obedient last time. But this situation, chapter 2, talked about how Esther obedient got her to be elevated to queen because they were looking for something better. And the one thing that helped Esther stand out was her obedience. She did everything that she was told. She was humbled. You know, you could tell even with the identity thing, she didn't get away from her cousin doing something opposite than what he had instructed her to do. She may not have, and one thing I like about the story is she may not have understand the why behind everything. She probably didn't understand why I can only take this or why I should only take this particular item. She probably didn't understand. And I feel like sometimes when God is telling us to do things, we don't always understand the plan. We don't always get the purpose behind it. And because we don't understand the plan, sometimes it discourages us from being obedient because sometimes being obedient puts us in uncomfortable places. Okay. So thinking about Esther, it could have been uncomfortable hiding who she was because she could have felt like a fraud. Or what if they find out? Or what if the king find out? What would he do once he find out the truth? It's a lot of uncomfortable places she could have been in being obedient to her cousin. Not only that, what about when she was compared to the other ladies? They're choosing all these, I'm assuming grand what they thought was better, but what if I just choose this? It doesn't seem as amazing as somebody else's thing. What if she would have went another route? What if she didn't, like, what if he doesn't like this? It's all these what ifs. And sometimes when God is calling us places, we feel what if? What if I'm not hearing this from God? Or what if this is not enough? Or what if people don't believe that God told me to do this? And I remember God moved me and my family to Colorado. Now, this move did not look the way that I thought. I thought it was going to be some pretty amazing things happening, because God moved us out here. And before I even moved out here to Colorado from Georgia, that's a long way. And I never lived outside of a state. To me, it was like, what if God didn't tell me? What if God, then what if this not God? What if, and out of all the signs and dreams and things like that, what if I got it wrong? What would happen? Or all the what else that comes with being obedient because it put us in an uncomfortable spot. Think about Esther, what ifs. She didn't get pulled down by the what ifs, but she did just by being obedient. Think about what God can do to us saying yes to what he tell us to do, to what he's asking us to be obedient to. We might feel unsure and uncomfortable, but God wants us to move through feeling uncomfortable. He wants us to move through the what ifs. He wants us to have that relationship with him and do it anyway and let him prove himself in our lives. So I just wanted to give you a little encouraging message today. Don't feel so distraught because of your uncertainties in your walk with God. Sometimes it's not for us to understand everything, but knowing that everything that God tells us to do has purpose. Sometimes that purpose will elevate us in the way that we think, and sometimes it won't, but we will be elevated in a way, one way or the other. So look at Esther's story. If you haven't read it, read chapter 2 and see what God has to say to you. And again, I'm Pastor Quay. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for checking out Bible Talk Wednesdays.